we left off with
That's what I thought, yeah.
our merry band of fellows. You guys were sailing away, as it were, from Llane as a soulstorm settled in over top. And you could hear the faint sound of screams coming from the city as you knew what that soulstorm would mean for the denizens there. As you guys begin to sail off and everything, the guards that you've brought with you, you've brought about 10 guards from Llane. They begin kind of becoming acquainted with the crew, finding places to stay, mending wounds and things of that nature. And
finding work to do.
Yes, exactly. Finding ways to contribute. And Daniel will pull each of you aside again. Well, first he'll actually pull all of you into the room with him to kind of debrief. Wait, we already had that moment, right? Where you spoke with Daniel about that?
And, yeah, because that was just before, the debrief was just before I saw my brother off. And
that's right, okay.
Told him to go,
perfect.
Told him to go back and get his wife.
The session. Yeah, and I think the session ended. We were flying away, and we saw like an army of oppressors on the ground behind us.
Yes,
that's I think where we ended it. Yeah.
Great, perfect. So yeah, the guards are getting acquainted. You guys are beginning to gain altitude and go in and everything. It's getting dark. It's getting close to nighttime, and you guys can all roll your endurance to recover some health. And add as the night goes on, Daniel will visit each of you, and I'll just, instead of me doing it, I'll just have you add 3d6 to the healing that you'll receive as he casts spells over you while you rest.
Okay, I'm at full.
All
I don't even have to roll.
I'll do my 3 days. 6, 9, 10, 33, and then my rest healing. Nice. 20 points. That puts me in much better shape.
Good.
Rolled the exact same thing on both sets of dice.
All right, how does Ishtar and Tarask look?
Tarask is already at full health.
That's right. And yeah, because the one time you would have gotten hit, your horse bucked it off. And it looks like Ishtar had to step away. I guess there he is.
Sorry, there's a car alarm going off. I had to make sure it wasn't mine.
No problem. So
I'm at full.
Oh, you're back up at full? That's pretty good considering you were a little walking pincushion.
Yeah, well, Ishtar doesn't have much health.
Oh, that's true too.
You can use a luck die for health, can't you?
I don't know if you can or not. I would say probably not.
The last time that was asked, he ruled yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, there you go then.
Since sleeping will allow me to recover the luck die anyway. So.
Yeah, you just won't be able to recover those dice this coming day. So like, yeah, if you're you can't spend 5 minutes this next day to recover that luck die back. Okay. You have to wait another day to do that.
Okay, so using luck die and while resting is not going to allow me to recover it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, because then you could just always use your luck dice with no repercussions for it whatsoever.
Then
yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take that risk. Give me a 6. 1. Go figure. Okay. Well.
Okay, so the night presses on. You guys all feel much, much better. And Tarask, you are meditating in your room. And you constantly are kind of aware of your surroundings. You can hear the pitter-patter of feet on the deck above you. You can sense things going on around the ship and the general attitude of things. And it isn't until you begin to hear some shouting that you try to open your eyes, and when you do, you find yourself incapable of doing so, almost like your eyelids are being held shut behind your eyelids. I want everybody else to make perception tests for me at a negative 1d6, because yes, you're currently resting peacefully, and I'll have Sir Remshel do the same.
Perception's intuition, right?
Yep.
17.
15.
What was that, Ishtar?
14 for me.
And Ishtar, what did you say yours was?
13.
13. Great. So we needed a 16 or higher. So Korek, your ears perk up and you can hear what Tarask can hear from his room, and that is the shouts of concerned voices coming from the upper deck.
Okay. Does it sound like panicked voices or?
You hear what sounds like commands being shouted in a way that suggests there's some type of emergency going on the deck.
Okay. So I will head out and pound on my fellows' doors as I head up to the upper deck.
Yes, and you both, neither of you need a perception check to hear that or to respond to it. That wakes you guys up. Tarask, you hear it, but you're incapable of responding to it. You're kind of stuck.
All right, I have a baby emergency quickly.
Yep, no problem. So I'll shift over to Tarask really quickly, and as you hear this going on, and you hear your party members waking up and kind of going to see what the hubbub is about, you know, because you've just been meditating, that it's approaching morning in about 3 to 4 hours. So it's just past the middle of the night. So you've had enough time to get some good rest and everything, but the night isn't over yet. And when you try to open your eyes and you try to respond to all of this happening, you feel like you've left your body, like there's some type of out-of-body experience, except it doesn't feel like when, well, actually kind of does feel the same as when Daniel had done it to you, and when he had kind of pulled your spirit out of your body and you could still touch and feel things in the world, but you were essentially a spiritual being, except this time you feel yourself being pulled upward through the ship into the sky. And as you go up and you fly up through the sky, you see over top, you see what everybody is freaking out about, and that is that the Soulstorm has caught up to the ship. And it is coming to overtake the ship, and you kind of go through the clouds, and you go up into the Soulstorm, and you kind of land, as it were, in this darkened room. A room very familiar to you, a room that you've been in your dreams many times. And in there you see a little girl with manacles on her hands. And then I want to go back over to Korak. And Korak, as you come up the stairs and you go out to the deck and you see what the hell's going on, you can see that the ship is being buffeted by wind, and it's being thrashed about, and it's quickly become a rocky ride. Sir Remshel is close behind you, and he follows you up, and he'll turn to you and he'll say, "It's the lady."
Okay. Now, are there like places to tie off?
Like tie yourself off onto?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know it's gonna limit mobility, but I also don't want to fall off of a flying ship?
Oh yeah, there's 4. Well, actually, there's 5 main. I guess I'll call them masts that go up to the balloon up above. There's 4 situated, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and then 1 in the center. However, they're not made of wood. What they are very thick, twined, or not twined, but is that the right word? Where when you take like 2 ropes and you spin them together to make a stronger rope.
I know what you mean.
But the
twine is woven.
Well, thank you.
Woven. Braided rope.
Yeah, except a single rope is like this large. So you've got 2 of these ropes woven together going up, and then inside of that you have what looks like to be a very heavily enforced metal chain that goes up to the blimp up top, and you've got 4 spots of those, and then 1 right in the center that goes straight up that carries the ship with the blimp. And of course, there's the sides, the sides of the ship that you could tie off to as well. So Caleb, Korak is just looking around the top of the ship for anywhere to tie off to, because as you guys came up, you guys see that the wind is being buffeted by a storm, and the soul storm has caught up to you. And Sir Remshel had turned to Korak and said, "It's the lady." And that was basically all that you missed.
So we're in the middle of a storm. Oh, this type of stuff.
So I'll tie off to where I have at least a good 20 to 25 feet of maneuverability.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to find enough rope to do that.
Okay.
It takes you maybe 3 to 4 to 5 minutes to do, but you can be doing that while I run over to Ishtar and see what he's up to.
I'll do the same.
Okay. To the same one or to a different one?
I'll go to a different one just to be in a position where I can kind of help him in a flanking type situation if necessary.
Okay. Yeah, how wide would you guys say a ship is? How wide?
What kind of ship are we talking about?
A fantasy airship?
About the size of a cruise? Well, are we thinking it's about the same size as a standard cruise ship?
No, it's going to be small.
Yeah. I actually did this. I used a clipper. I think it was between like 40 and 50 feet at the middle, and then it pretty much tapers down on both ends.
Okay, so where you guys are at, I'd say it's about 30 feet from each other. So yeah, you could tie off enough rope to where you can reach each other, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're on the other side. Korak, did you want to be on the front 2 or on the back 2 of these ropes that are going up?
Front 2.
The front 2, okay. And then Ishtar, you see these guys tying off so they don't go flying off the ship. What do you do? He looks around.
He looks around ominously.
Yes.
Sorry, the kids aren't really asleep. Ishtar will, I guess, jump in and but he's no experience at this. I don't even know if you know to do that really.
Well, you see them do it.
Whatever one's closest to him, he'd jump on and try and do it.
Okay, that's a great point. Why don't you all roll agility, and I could be convinced of a skill.
Okay.
Or actually, make it that logic. Make that logic, because knots can be complicated.
Logic? Oh,
Well,
that sucks.
You can choose. You can either choose to tie a smart knot or just strong knot. So strength or logic.
Okay.
I don't see anything in terms of a skill. I still haven't figured out what dungeoneering is going to do for me.
What about escape artist?
Ooh, nice.
I would let you add 1d6 for that, as
Okay.
yeah, because that would be something you're vaguely familiar with.
Okay.
17 for me.
17, 18,
8.
8 for Korak.
The highest I could do is 3d6, and I didn't do that well.
No problem. Do you have any skills that you think could add to it?
I mean, I have survival.
Add survival. You can add survival.
Okay. Roll one more. Okay, so that's 13 then.
Okay. Yeah, good. So you all managed to tie what you hope and think are safe and reliable knots. None of you see Tarask up here. You see Sir Remshel. He doesn't tie himself off. He's just kind of looking up at the storm, and from behind his back, he pulls out his sword and stands there at the ready, as though he's anticipating something to happen. And you can see the crew members just kind of running back and forth. Pandemonium's kind of breaking out, and the guards, some of them, you see them just kind of like looking up, and they bolt to go downstairs under the ship, and you can hear them say things like, no, she's come to eat us, she's gonna devour us all, and they run downstairs and everything, and some of them stay up with their short swords drawn and a shield, and they're just kind of like looking up ominously, waiting for something to happen.
I'm guessing my quarterstaff is like is pretty much a beacon of light at this point.
What's the range on it? Is it 100 or 30 feet?
100 feet? 100.
Okay, it's 100. So you got it upgraded from when we started, right?
No, it's always been 100 feet.
Oh, okay. Okay, so faintly. It's glowing faintly. The storm is pretty high up there. So yeah, it's just got a very slight glow to it. More of what's affecting the ship right now is wind and rain and cackles of lightning that are going here and there and just missing the ship. So I'm going to make a roll here, and we're going to see what happens with the weather on this ship. See if everything holds up well. Okay, a very strong gust of wind comes through, and it brings with it this sharp, piercing rain, and a few people who haven't tied themselves off, like Sir Remshel, struggle to stand. And a few of the guards and crew members will fall and kind of be blown backwards into some crates and what have you, and you all can hear the ship just kind of moan a little bit from the force of that gust of wind. It like, we'll go back over to Tarask, and in this room that you're in, that was another thing, Ishtar, that you missed, was Tarask finds himself in that same room that he's been finding himself in his dreams. However, this time it's not dreamlike, it's spiritual-like, the way Daniel had done it before with you guys. And you see that little girl again, and she looks at you, and you can see everything else around you is black. And for the first time, you can see that her mouth is not bound. It appears that she was able to pull the gag down around her chin. And she looks at you and says, I've been waiting for you.
Daddy?
Tarask is kind of looking around frantically. He's not used to, I think, this level of awareness in his dreams.
Make a perception test, except this time roll intuition and add your willpower dice pool. as you take in your surroundings.
17.
17. Great. So as your eyes adjust to the blackness of this room, you notice that there is a doorway, maybe 15 feet ahead of you, and to your right is this girl who is about 8 feet away, sitting kind of on her shins with her feet behind her on her knees, and she's kind of just sitting down, and she appears, to your best guess, to be maybe 7 or 8 or 9 years old, around that age. And she sees you looking around, and she'll say, "I've been waiting so long to meet you."
What are you doing here, and what do you want from me?
She says, "Oh, it's not what I want." "Well, I guess it is kind of what I want. It's just so nice to talk to you. Normally I don't have the strength to speak. But," and she looks down at the floor. She says, "I just ate." She looks almost ashamed.
What are you?
She will say, "Well, I'm your mother, silly."
Not who are you, what are you?
And
You eat souls.
her face kind of, almost like she's confused. She says, "No, that's not me. I don't do that."
Tarask looks confused.
She says, "The master. He tricked me, and I've been stuck here, and this is all of me that I have left."
Who is this master?
She says, "Oh, I can't tell you that. I wish I could. It might make things a lot easier. It also might make things a lot harder for you, but I can't tell you, and I can't even try to tell you, because he might know. He can sense these things."
I'll ask again, what do you want from me?
She says, as you ask that, we cut back to the ship. 19, 22. Another big gust of wind comes through. This one not quite as powerful, and you guys look up above you, and you see what looks like the center of this storm just right over top of the ship, and it's turning slowly and menacingly, and there's lightning bolts going here and there, and then all at once everything seems to just and the rain stops, and the lightning stops, and the wind stops, and the guys that are holding onto ropes onto the balloon up above, they release their tension on their grips, and they look around, and then in a moment of panic, one of the guards who thought he was brave enough to stay up on the top of the ship, he says, "No, I can't do it. I can't do it." And then from the blackness around the ship, this bolt of energy seems to come straight towards him, and it slams into him, and it both burns a cavity into his chest and sends him careening off the side of the ship. And then he doesn't even make it up. He doesn't even make it maybe 50 feet down before he gets caught back up in the wind of the storm again, and you see him, just a lifeless body, get caught up into the soul storm and disappears into nothingness. And I want you three to roll initiative for me, and I'm going to roll for Remshel. And when that happens, Sir Remshel braces himself. He says, "Get ready!"
Well,
20.
12 for Ishtar. 20 for Dane. What did Korak get?
Sorry, 20.
Oh, 20 as well?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your... Dane, what's your agility? And Korak, what's your agility?
14.
14, Dane?
He's over me.
Okay.
I'm 6.
Okay, so we have Korak, Dane, and Ishtar. Let me roll for Sir Remshel. He doesn't get a very high initiative roll. He only gets 3d6. And he got a 12. So he's right there with you, Ishtar. Ishtar, what's your agility score?
7.
7, his is 4, so you'll act before him. Let me add him in real quick. So Remshel. 12. Okie dokie. Let me make a roll for something that you don't know. Oh, that's actually not very good. I thought it'd be higher than that. That was a bad roll. So you guys got lucky. Okay. Yes, he flies off the side of the ship, and you see his lifeless body get sucked up into the soulstorm. Where we then cut back over to Tarask, and you see from that wooden door that's in front of you, you see a beam of light kind of shine in from underneath the crack under the door, and then as quickly as it was there, it's gone. And if you were watching a movie, cinematically, it would look like this guy went up into the soulstorm. We cut to Tarask, and then as he enters it, you see a flash of light from underneath the door where Tarask is at. And she'll say, well, first, I could have you, if you could, undo these manacles for me. I mean, you and your friends are in danger, and there might be something we can do to help.
Tarask looks really confused. This is your soul storm. This is your doing. What do you mean, unshackle you? It's insanity.
She says, well, no, I'm kept in here so that I can't get out and try to fix any of this. But you're here now, and you can help. If you undo my shackles,
why should I trust
you?
you? Why should I trust you?
She kind of looks up and she says, well, I don't know, but I can tell you that if you don't, then you and your friends are going to die. And she says it with this innocence, but also this, it's very creepy the way she says it. Like, this is an 8-year-old kid who knows things about life and has seen very disturbing things that should never be seen by anybody, let alone a kid that age.
Tarask is gonna slowly approach her.
She just stands there with her arms out in the manacles.
He looks down at them and he looks at her. Can I get any reading on her at all? I don't know if I, as a meta player, trust necessarily what she's saying, and as a character, I think like images of how everyone talks about who he's learned to be his mother as being like this terror and this plague on the land kind of are flashing in the back of his head, people saying this, and then he kind of like imagines people talking like 100 years in the future, like about her getting out again and the fool that must have let her out, and he just imagines himself being that fool.
It would be I suppose you can choose between intuition or logic, and then if you have any skills in insight or anything else that you think might add to that. I could be convinced. Perception's more of a physical thing, so that I would give you maybe a 1d6 from that, but not the full value if it's any higher.
Okay. Not good. 9.
9. So despite your attempts to read her, you're unsure. To you, she seems genuine, but that could be a ruse, and you're incapable of telling. I mean, she's 8. All kids seem innocent, but you have your doubts.
He puts his hands on the manacles. Can he see how he would open them?
Yes, they would appear to have this very arcane, old looking, and by arcane I mean like archaic, I guess, old school looking key locks. Very stereotypical looking key locks that are on them. That you think if you could find something to stick in there, you wouldn't require a whole lot of know-how in picking these manacles. They seem very pickable, for sure.
He's going to stand there looking at the manacles, kind of hesitating. I think that hesitation might lead into a pretty long pause as he considers the likelihood of this being a good idea.
As we cut at the perfect time back to the ship, and Sir Remshel saying, "Get ready!" And it's when this thing lands on the side of the ship, it rocks the whole thing with the impact, and it lands on Dane's side. So as I'm looking at the ship, you had said you wanted to be at the front of the ship, correct, or the back? Front. So as I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the front is out ahead of me, and the back is right here next to me. I'm looking at Dane on the right side, and Korak on the left side. Ishtar, where did you want to be? Did you want to tie off with Korak, or did you want to tie off with Dane?
Ishtar went wherever the closest one was to when he got up on deck.
That was probably Korak.
Yeah, that's where I would have gone.
So you're chilling with your bro. Dane takes a strategic position on the other side. And then as this thing hits the side of the ship and it lands, it causes the whole thing to rock. And Dane, as you turn around and you look at what the hell this thing is, you're confronted with what looks like, if you remember the picture of those soul harvesters that you came across in that town, how they had these tentacles, and they had the mouth that went from their mouth all the way down into their chest. It has a very similar type mouth where it has just this gaping a hole where its chest should be, and then teeth. Yeah, a big maw, a vertical maw, and nasty teeth, except the form of it is in the shape of this demonic looking creature. It has these demon-like wings. It has these horns. It's landed with its hand perched. It almost looks like a gigantic gargoyle on the side of the ship, and it as it opens its eyes and makes eye contact with you. And here is a picture of what it looks like.
It's a Demogorgon.
It has this massive sword in its right hand that it raises, but before it can act, Korak has a turn. Now, Korak is tied off in such a way that he can't reach that all the way to that side of the ship.
Okay, that's why I have throwing spears.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so I will lunge forward, and I will toss my spear. Okay. Okay, that's 10, 20, 24, 26.
That's a hit.
Okay.
Very close. Very close.
Okay. Now, damage with thrown.
Mhm.
How does that work?
Do you have any skill in ranged weapons or in these throwing spears in particular?
I have throwing, yes.
Okay, what's your add
your
the size of that
spears?
skill dice pool,
Okay.
not
so
your strength.
just that's okay. So
Yeah.
that would just be 1. So
Okay.
that would be 15
Okay, not bad.
damage.
You toss your spear and it catches it on its shoulder and it tears a piece of its flesh open. It doesn't seem to care. How much damage did you say that was? 13 or 15?
15.
15. Okay. Okay, you have another action.
Okay. Can I throw my second one?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. 10, 18, 20, 22, 25 this time.
Yep.
Okay. Ooh. 7 points damage.
Okay.
Triple sixes, or triple twos, sorry.
Okay, that's your 2 actions. So you huff these 2 spears, and the first one cuts open its shoulder, and the second one just nicks it on its thigh, and it tears open a little bit of flesh, but it doesn't do a whole lot. Next up is Dane. This thing is right behind you. These 2 spears just right past your head as Korak whip them in your general direction. And yes, this thing is standing right in front of you.
How big is this thing?
It's only about 5.5 to 6 feet tall, but it's got a wingspan of about 6 or 7 feet, and it is muscle bound to all hell, and it has this huge sword that it manages to wield without any problem.
I'm more determining if I am able to target attacks towards the previous wounds. And
you can make a
based on
logic.
Yes, I can.
A logic. Make it a logic, and you can add your perception skill if you have any. As you assess, you give it a quick look over.
Okay, it's going to be 66. That was not very nice. 5, 8, 10, 15.
That's still high enough to know, as you look at it and you look at the wounds, that it doesn't seem to. It doesn't look like the spots there are gonna deal, like if you pound on those spots, that they're gonna deal any more damage than going for anywhere else.
Okay, fair enough.
Just by the nature of the look of the wound. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll take my 2 attacks. My first attack is feint, so 76.
So your first action is going to be feint, and then your second action will be to attack. Remember, feint takes an action.
Okay, so 76. Actually, no, yeah, I want to try to crit. I want to get that 1 extra d6. Oh, you got to be kidding me. There was no way I'm going to hit him. 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 15.
Okay, he's actually going to take this opportunity to use his reaction exploit, and he's going to make an attack on your turn. And he will, as you come and you kind of juke to one side, you notice that he just watches you as you try to juke to one side and you come up. How do you come up at him?
I pretty much am trying to do a. I guess my first strike would try to be to a gut shot.
With a fist, a staff, leg?
Yeah. Fist.
Okay, as you're coming up, he with this lightning speed, he holds his left hand out, not his sword hand, his left hand out, and emits this bolt of demonic energy towards you, and he still has to roll to hit you. So grab your ranged defense. And I have to pull up his thing. Okay, so he gets a 21 on the attack.
That hits exactly.
Okay. And then the damage is... So I'm going to roll the fire damage first, and this, your soak will apply. So your soak will apply to this damage, and this is 4 damage.
Okay, completely negated.
Okay, so the fire just kind of billows around you and doesn't do any damage. However, there's this darkness, there's a shadow energy that passes through your leather and deals you 7 damage, and it bypasses your soak.
Okay.
And yeah, so you guys see Dane kind of, and this thing just kind of shifts to the side and hits Dane in the chest with this bolt of energy that sends him reeling back a couple of feet. And that was Dane's turn. Next up is Ishtar.
Okay, Ishtar's action is going to be more for the crew of the ship. Float and doesn't kill us all. My full-blown courage song.
Okay, so you're going to spend 2 actions to play it twice?
+4 mental defense and the immunity to fear.
Good, so you guys will...
Everyone else gets it, but it was for the crew mainly, yeah.
Yeah, so everybody gets it, and definitely mark that down because that will probably be important, that +4 mental defense. So definitely note that for now. And so you strike up a song. What's the song sound like?
Oh, this will be... On a storm, here we go. We'll make it through all day.
Oh, man. You're lucky you don't need to roll a performance check for that. All right. Fantastic.
So if I make up a song, I can ignore the check?
No, because it's an exploit. It just works for you. So we'll head over to Sir Remshel, who is going to engage this beast as well. He's going to stand back, though. I have a... That is discerning. I want the lightning bolt. He's going to grab that. Going to make a magic attack. So he steps forward and he stands back. He stands back about 20 feet from this thing, and he raises his hand out. And as he's blasting Dane in the chest with this thing, and Ishtar is strumming up a song of encouragement for everybody, you see this cackle of lightning come from within the ship. And when you turn, you can see Sir Remshel holding his hand out, blasting this lightning bolt towards the creature. And he gets an 18 on the ranged attack, and that misses. It just... It crackles right by its head, and it doesn't contact with it. Let me deduct the magic points from him. That's both of his actions, and we're going to go over to Tarask now. So you're there, and she's holding out these manacles in front of you.
And he's going to kind of internally make a decision. And you're going to see him reach into his pocket and reach for something like a pick that he could use. And he's going to pull it out and plunge it into the manacles.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going to say into the girl. I was like, oh man. I hadn't
I'm ruining your game.
I hadn't prepared for that. No, but...
Your game is over.
Well, it wouldn't be over. So you plunge it in there. Just make a and you can choose between either agility or logic, and then if you have any kind of sleight of hand or picking or anything like that, you could add that.
He's a picking and a grinning.
16.
16, great. I was looking for a 13. That's what I had it written down as. So very good. You're able to, with almost, you're kind of surprised actually at how easily these came off. But then, you realize she's in a room by herself with nothing in here. And so they didn't need to be easily picked. They just needed to be strong. And indeed, when you take them off, they hit the ground with almost this gravitas, that gravity works harder on these things than they do on normal things. And they just doosh, and they don't move when they hit the ground. Yeah. It sends dust up and everything. And she looks at her wrists and she kind of rubs them. She's like, oh, that's so much better. Thank you so much. Follow me. And she gets up and she starts running towards the wooden door.
Trask follows.
She will kind of crack it open, and she kind of peeks her head out, looks that way, and then looks that way. She says, from here on, she looks back at you and she says, from here on, we should probably be quiet. If the master knows I'm out, he won't like that. And then
I like it.
She'll sneak out of the door, out of view.
Should Tarask roll stealth and follow?
Yeah, that's a great idea. If you're going to follow and you're going to try to be quiet, go ahead and make an agility stealth check for me. She seems to move without any sound whatsoever.
22 with trip 6s.
Very nice. Give yourself an extra luck
Nice.
die in your luck dice pool for that. Fantastic. So you just slip into the shadows right behind her, and you move just as silently as she does. The only difference being that you can hear just the ever slightest patter of your feet, whereas her feet seem to make no noise. And when you exit the door and you go out, you can hear this noise in the distance, but you're greeted with what looks like a hallway to a house. Wooden floors, wooden walls, and the walls are maybe, 6 feet apart. And it's not a very grandiose hall. It just looks very plain, wooden. And she's going to the right. The hallway to the left seems to extend forever, it seems. And the hallway to your right, she is going to the end of and then making a left-hand turn the only way she could turn. So it bends to the left, and you see her take a left.
I'm trying to keep her in view.
Okay, so you follow right behind her, and you come to this hallway, which ends in maybe about 30 feet. And you get to the end of this hallway, and it's another... This one is a large wooden door, and this one appears to be shut tight. There's no lock on it, but it is a heavy door, and when she puts her hand on the handle and she shakes it, she says, I can't do this. Can you? It's too heavy for me.
I will try.
Okay, so we're going to rewind just a little bit. When you made your stealth check, I want you to roll that dice pool that I had you create. The endurance plus willpower plus luck. I want you to
Fortitude.
Yes, your fortitude dice pool for me.
39.
Okay, drop. How many sixes
With
did you get?
trip 6s. 3.
3. So reduce the size of that dice pool down to 7d6 for me. And that was just for the stealth check. As you go to...
Wait. I'm sorry. Reduce it to 7?
Yep.
I don't understand.
So this is a countdown dice pool.
Oh, I see.
As you exert yourself in this realm, you feel this connection from your physical body and your will and your luck and your endurance. They're all contributing to your ability to act in this spiritual realm. And so as you did her manacles and you snuck out of the room, that was one check. As you exert yourself on this door, that's going to be another check. But first we're going to roll a strength check to see if you can bust this door open. And then I'm going to have you roll that fortitude roll again and drop any 6s that you get.
Okay. I'm going to add that extra luck dice you gave me.
Yeah,
for
sure.
this strength check. And I get a 15.
15, good. Yeah, you're able to the handle seemed stuck. It seemed like...
And I'm sorry, you need me to roll the 7 as well,
That's right, 7d6, and then subtract any 6s that you get from the dice pool.
I have no 6s.
All right, good. So you didn't need to exert yourself too hard for this. You open the door without a problem, and then she peeks out again. And when you see her peek out, you see her face kind of light up. There's something bright in this other room. And as that door opens and she slips through, we cut back to the ship, where we are back at the top of the round. And this, by now, Korak, it's your turn. As you look around, bless you, as you look around, you see 2 of those soul harvesters that were in that town. And you see the guards and the crew members trying to battle against these things. Rather futilely, I guess is the word.
Futilely.
Yeah, and the guards are having a better time, They seem like they've had experience with these things before. But the crew members just appear to be getting devoured one by one by these the harvesters. And
now these two, how close together are they?
you can see one because you see the flash of its tentacles on the other end of the ship is very dark. So it's difficult to see, but you can see one on the far end of the ship, and you know it's there because you can hear the screams. There's another one to your right. As you're kind of facing the other side of the ship, you're facing towards Llane and the monster. There's another one to your right, maybe about 20 feet away, who is currently has a guard in his grasp and is pulling him into his mouth.
Okay, I will go after that one since I can reach it.
Okay.
So I will come at it and I will strike with my basilisk tooth sword or spear. So, and cannot seem to get a critical. 28 to hit.
That's a hit, yep.
Okay. And okay, yeah. Crappy damage. 10, 13 points of damage.
Okay, yes, you sever 2 of its limbs. And
Okay.
Yeah, you hear this noise come from it when you do.
Okay. So that was a move and an attack.
Yes, it was. And next up we have Llane, I believe. Yep, Llane.
Yep. And I'm kicking myself. I forgot to have everybody roll an extra. Have you two roll an extra 1d6 for your initiative, just because I forgot about the experience exploit. Anyway, I'm going to do the 2 attacks on him. My hope is essentially do equivalent of a Superman punch, and then grabbing him by the horns and bringing his head down for a knee strike.
So you're making 2 attacks?
So, yes.
Okay, with no feint, right?
Attack, no feint.
Okay.
6, 19, 21 for the first attack.
Okay, your swing goes wide on that one.
Okay. I still try it. Swing goes wide. I'll try to grab it, but grab 2 horns instead of just 1. No. I had 3 1s, so I knew that I was going to 1.
Yeah,
the
so
dice are not nice to me today.
At this point, you've rolled below it, you've rolled above it. So the number that you're looking for the defenses on this thing, both its melee and range defense, is 24.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and I'm having trouble finding the character sheet I had for the harvesters, but that's okay because I think I'm fairly familiar with them, so I think I'll be okay without the sheet. Next up is the demon, and as you make these 2 strikes at it and you go to grab it, it appears to just dash away from you in this flurry of speed that you didn't think was possible, just like and it's gone. And then you see it standing over Ishtar with its sword raised, ready to strike down on him. He did not like your song, Ishtar, and I apologize. So he makes an attack, and oh my god, he gets a 37 with a critical hit. So,
oh god,
yes, he's gonna roll his critical damage, and he really gets 31 points of damage.
Ouch.
Your soak will apply, though.
Kill me unless for my soak. So I gotta do some math. So I'm still up, but barely.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to roll. I didn't mean to roll so well. I was doing test rolls before, and he was only doing like 14 or 15 points of damage. And I was like, well, Korak's got a soak of 11. That's only 4 points for him. I'll never drop him. Then I forget that you have like 20 hit points. So then that's his turn because that's both of his actions. Then the Soul Harvester that is next to you, Korak, will reach its tentacles out and attempt to grab you. It gets a 14 on its attack and misses wildly. You have no problem dodging out of the way. It's then going to spend its other action finishing pulling in this this guard and eating him. And it just it shoves it down its throat, and you see, and then Dane, your staff is now full aglow, and you see this spirit go up into and feed the storm cloud above you. And
how far away is that? How far away is that Soul Reaper?
Which one? The Harvesters are the weak ones, and the Devourer is the kind of mini boss guy. So which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one that just ate something.
That's out of reach for you because that's kind of near the edge of the other side of the ship where Korak is at.
Okay.
So
pretty much, I have no creatures near me right now.
Well, Ishtar wasn't that far away from you. You know, he was kind of there, so you could still run out and reach the Soul Devourer, the big guy.
Okay.
And we go to Ishtar. It is Ishtar's turn.
All right, so since survive another hit, I think he'll start playing a different tune. This is gonna be, I don't know if anyone knows the band Catatonia, more on that type of wavelength. Metal type band. I'm gonna do the Tired song. Trying to get him exhausted. So I gotta beat his mental defense. More dice. Mental defense.
Yes.
Wow.
Did you say a roll? Because I missed it.
I gotta do a charisma check versus his mental defense. I got a 30.
Oh shit! Okay, I was not expecting that. That's really good.
All right.
Yes, this wave of
lagging.
Yes, this wave of
exhausted
of fatigue washes over him, and he can only take one action per turn. So you see him
double move. Max health is half his normal health and cannot access its luck pool.
So, you played it twice on him.
That was my full action. I figured I'm going down. Might as well just.
Okay. All right. So let me drop him down to half. That's awesome. He's got to shake that off, but he won't. You essentially, just so you're aware, you essentially did 30 some odd points of damage to him because when I raise his max health back up, he's not going to regain the health he lost because he's now capped at his new max.
Sugar, he's going down swinging.
So nicely done.
By the way, he's trying to do massive damage.
Very nicely done. So
hey, here's the other thing. You're going to be my flanker in just a minute.
So you see Sir Remshel, he will holler something that you can choose to roll a perception if you want to, but essentially you see him shouting down into the ship. He seems to be calling for somebody. And you hear Ishtar, you hear your name mentioned.
16 on that perception check.
You hear Dane, you hear him say, Daniel, Ishtar is injured, get up here. And Daniel will enter the fray. Not yet. That was Remshel's first action. His second action is going to be... let me check his spells really quick. he's going to do a shocking air blast. So he can essentially, in a 30-foot diameter, he's going to hold his hand out and evoke air and evoke lightning at the same time. So this rush of air comes from him and his hand, and with these bits of lightning embedded in it, it seems. It's almost like an air net. And when it goes past you, Dane, it seems to carve around you. He seems to have designed the spell in a way that it won't affect you. And it goes around you, but then it... Oh, well, no, the creature isn't around you anymore. It's over next to Ishtar. So Ishtar, you would feel this. This gust of air go right by you. And he needs to make a magic attack. Let me spend his MP. He's down to 14. And his magic attack is a 24. Yes, to finally hit. So he's going to deal 2d6 damage, and this demon next to you, Ishtar, gets blown back 15 feet. So you hit it with this fatiguing song, and it's lulled, and then this force of wind and lightning comes and bashes up against it and smashes it into what would be the entrance down to the captain's navigation room, and he smashes up against this wall. He's only going to be dealt 2d6 damage, but he doesn't really have much soak to speak of. So I rolled a 3. Great. But at any rate, yes, this demon took a point of damage, and it got slammed up against the wall 15 feet away from you.
So now he's...
Or no, not 15, it's 5 feet. Sorry. All enemies within 15 feet of you. Okay. So it's he got blown back 5 feet. Maybe not up against into the wall. Sorry, I thought it was 15 feet. So he gets blown back 5 feet, and he gets a little shocky everything. Then we go back over to
would it be safe to say he got pushed back towards me?
From the direction that Remshel was at, he'd be pushing him in a direction that's kind of neutral towards you. As you're looking at him, he just kind of moves left, back closer to the front of the ship. Yeah, so we go back up to Tarask, and you are currently sneaking out of this door into this room. When your eyes adjust to the light of this room and you go through the door, you can see that there seems to be this device in the middle of this room, and you're walking along what looks like this what's it called when you're... It's not a galleyway, it's like a walkway, but with a gangway. Yeah, but it's up against the wall. Yeah, a catwalk, but it's up against the wall. And, it's got a guardrail and everything. And when you look down, you can see the ship. You can see your friends fighting the creature down there on the ship and these other soul harvesters. And you can see... And then as you look down, you see this soul come up into this room and up into the top of the room, where it just kind of absorbs into this device. And when you look up and you take a look at this device, you see this slow churning, like it almost looks rusty, and it's got it's like perforated metal almost, and it's just churning away, and it seems like this is something that is powering this soul storm. It looks like this arcane device that is just churning away and grinding things. And as she leads you along this catwalk, she comes to a door that she will again struggle to open, and she'll look back up to you expectantly.
And I'll walk up to it and try to give it a push.
Okay, make a
strength, you said last time.
Yeah, strength, and I meant to have you add your willpower to that roll. So a strength and willpower as you're acting. That was the roll that we had made.
Willpower meaning, like, if it's 3d6, add 3, or add the 3d6?
Add the 3d6 from your willpower. And I think that was the other one we had made, your metal or your resolve, the strength dice pool plus your willpower dice pool. I had meant to
So
have
that's
you roll
gonna be
that for the.
So that's going to be a 26.
Oh, very good. Very good. Go ahead and roll your fortitude dice pool again. And
That's
see if we get.
7. And I have 1 6. So it is going to go to 66 now.
Okay, great. As you open this door, you are immediately barraged with this sucking in feeling. It feels like there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of shit going on in this room. And why don't you make a perception check as you step in?
Let's say 15.
Okay, from your best guess, you see what you think is the room behind you is like grinding something. You could guess maybe like souls, or however that might work in Tarask's mind. Like, how does something physical grind to something not physical? But then again, none of this is making much sense. And then you come into this room, and it seems like whatever that thing is grinding, whatever it's condensing down into stuff, is getting directed into this room. And when you enter this room, you see it's almost like you opened up the back hatch to an airplane, and like there's stuff that seems to be getting dumped out from a compartment up above you. There's like a hole in a wall above you that is pouring out energy out of this place that you're in. And it's very loud, and the girl will look behind you, and she'll ask you to close the door. You don't need to make a check to do that. It was just difficult to open.
Yeah, so I turn and see me kind of pushing with both hands, kind of pushing it closed.
Yeah, it is a
And
little.
when I do, it gets louder. Like the sound is even louder in here because the door is closed.
Exactly, and she will look back up to you, and she'll shout to you, and she'll say, "There's a gate there. If you can close that gate, it will stop the storm. And your friends don't have to die."
I kind of look to see where it is that she's indicating. And I kind of imagine I have to kind of squeeze through something and kind of press my way through towards the gate, and I kind of reach out for it.
Yeah, so about 20 feet ahead of you, you can see there's a big opening here, and then on either side of the opening, well, not on either side, it would be only on this side. There's a circular kind of crank, and it looks like it's attached to this gate, that if you were to crank this thing, it would shut the gate.
Yeah, and you see me kind of fit between two kind of pieces of equipment. I kind of come out the other side. I'm walking over, and I reach my arm around something. I put my hand on the crank, and I start to crank the crank.
All right, she'll go and hide in the corner, in the far corner, on the same side as you, but she's back up against the wall there. And for your first crank, make that strength and willpower check.
Okay, so I rolled an 18. Clunk, 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 clunk.
Yes, that seems to go rather easily at first here. Now roll another fortitude check.
That one has 1 6.
Okay, so we're down to 5d6. And is that half of what we started with?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to drop 5s and 6s for future rolls. Okay?
Oh boy.
Yep, so you begin to crank it, and you see the gate beginning to close very, very slowly, and you're putting a bunch of yourself into this. We zoom on back down to the ship, where it is Korak's turn.
Okay. So this guy's now. I have the Devourer next to me.
Yeah, you could use an action to get over to him, unless you did that last turn.
Well, I did. I moved to him and I attacked.
Okay, so yeah, you're
and
already
then
next to him.
he ate a guy.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
you're talking about the harvester then.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, the weaker one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I will just go out all out attack on him. And that is 10, only a 20, so I miss on my first one.
Oh no, against the harvester, you're looking for an 18.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
the devourer has a 24. Yeah, the
Okay,
devourer's
sorry.
a big one.
So, so I hit that one. And that is 11, 16, 19 points of damage.
You shear off the remaining tentacles on that one side of it, and then you also catch it in the shoulder and knock a piece of its armor off.
Okay. So, second attack. And 11, 21.
Yep.
That is 12, 13, 16 points of damage.
Yep. It's a breath away from going down.
Okay, and then I spin the butt end up, coming up between the legs, and that's 26, 30 hit.
Yep. You finish it, and it just kind of disappears in a puff of black smoke before your eyes, and yes, it goes the way of the dinosaurs. Next is Dane, who is muted.
Sorry about that. So am I able to sidestep or make a slight positioning adjustment to go into flank?
Oh yeah, you can just march right up to the thing. As far as timing goes right now, this thing just bashed into Ishtar maybe 6 or 7 seconds ago. Got shocked by a little bit of lightning and pushed 5 feet away from Ishtar as Ishtar was singing a little lullaby to him.
Okay. So if I make the adjustment to flank, would that be considered a move action?
Yeah, you would definitely need to move up to get behind him. But you're going to get plus 2, I think.
It's 1.
1,
At least according to the version 1.1 document I have.
Then there you go.
Okay. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, 76.
Looking for a 24.
Screw 24. I want 3 sixes. 1, 2, 6s. 14, 16. Seriously? 3 1s. 19.
Ugh.
Dice are not liking me today.
And again, it's going to use its reaction exploit to rear its tail up behind it and try to smack you with it. Tail smash, there it is. So it is, since he's doing it and you're behind him, I'm going to give him negative 2d6 on the roll. So he only gets an 18 to hit with his tail.
Yep. I'm able to duck out of the way.
Okay, as you dodge out of the way, the tail smashes against the ship and wood splinters go splashing up from where it landed. Then next would be the demon, who is fed up with your shenanigans, Dane, and is going to turn around and come down at you with a heavy strike from its sword. So it's going to ditch 2 dice to try to just mash your brains in. It only gets an 18.
Swing and miss.
Yes, but he doesn't have to move, so he gets another action, and he's going to do the same thing. So he misses, and he hits where his tail hit, and just cuts a hole down into the, so you can see down into the ship, and it comes back around with the momentum to come back down on you again, and it gets a 17 to hit that time.
Swing and a miss again.
Yeah, so you dodge the first one, and then you dodge the second one, and there's these two lines that you can see down into the ship, and that was both of his actions. Ishtar.
Melee range?
Is it in melee range? Yeah, it's just 5
Yeah.
feet away from you. Yeah, it's instead of in your face, it's just like just out of your face.
Well, this goes up a little bit if I go in melee. You know what? So I pull out my blade. I'll take a swing at it. Luck die.
Oh man, you're lucky he already used his exploit to react to Dane. Otherwise, I'd flatten you right now.
Oh. I got 666, and the luck die was one of the 6s.
All right. So, yeah, that's a crit. Then you definitely hit.
So. Actually, the grand total is 25. So with an exploding luck die.
Very nicely done.
I only rolled 4 dice. The 3 of them
wow.
were 6.
Fantastic.
I
So
got
with a vengeance.
2. And then the luck die I rerolled was a 5.
You know, I needed to
I only
roll for
do-
him to shake off that that condition that you put on him. Let me roll a d6 really quick. Okay, he got a 5. But he would have had to spend an action to do it, so there's only 1 slice in the ship instead of 2. As he spent an action shaking off that tiredness.
I do a whopping 10 points of damage.
Actually, you managed to bury your short sword into its flesh. You said 8 points of damage? So it'll take 6 of that. So yeah, and you cut it. you give him a cut. Much to your surprise, you're like, holy shit, this thing bleeds. And
I got right now.
yeah, very nicely done. You have another action.
Slice him again.
Going for glory.
Here's 13.
Yeah, the second one in your hype, you miss it. You got overzealous. Next is Sir Remshel, who will charge in with his sword, and he will flank right next to Dane. So Dane, you have Sir Remshel taking up arms right beside you. He's going to add a d6 to his sword attack for that. And he gets a 32. Did he crit? No, he didn't crit. He gets a 32 with his, and he's using it two-handed, so he's going to do 3d6 plus 5. So he hits for 12 damage on his attack, which is pretty good.
Nice.
So yes, this thing isn't feeling too well. That's both of his attacks. Then Daniel emerges from the bottom of the ship, and he will spend both of his move actions running over to Ishtar. He seems to have this singular focus of getting over to Ishtar and making sure you don't fall in battle.
Those sword swings, like, pass it out.
Yeah, you're like, you've got blood like coming down your face.
Pretty much, yeah.
Daniel's like, hold on, buddy. We shift back over to Tarask, who is cranking a crank at the moment. So if you wish to continue cranking a crank, I'll let you crank.
the crank. You got to crank the crank.
So that. Wait, that's a 24. Clank, 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 clank.
Very nice. It's definitely getting harder as these things go thrashing past you. There's this energy that is now brushing up against your shoulder as the energy that wants to go through is getting blocked off by the gate closing. It's sending off crap towards you, and it's almost feels like it's shearing away at your flesh, which is why we've increased. Well, no, actually, you're going to remove one of the die, one die from your fortitude pool, as you get barraged with.
I'm just gonna lose one.
Yep, you're gonna lose one, and then roll the pool.
Okay. One, two, two,
What was it? 1, 2, 2, 3?
3. So I don't lose any that way, but I do lose one anyway. Down to 4.
Okay. All right, very good. She kind of cheers you on, and she's like, "Yeah, go do it." And one thing that I want Ishtar, Korak, and Dane to make perception checks for me.
Okay.
And actually, Sir Remshel's going to make one as well. Oh my gosh, Sir Remshel's terribly unperceptive.
16 for me.
22.
23.
Very nice. You all notice the baby dragon. And you know it because it's the only other form that it's taken before. And it looks like a little firefly. And it seems to just be, it's like being buffeted by the wind and everything, but it seems to be trying its best to fly across the ship. And it's like just kind of casually flying through battle and like underneath the sword, and like past a tentacle. And it flies, and it's flying over towards the stairs where your guys' quarters are at. And you could only assume that maybe it was hanging with Sir Remshel until this moment. And it will disappear down into the quarters space. We have kind of a cinematic moment where none of you actually see this, but the camera would shift to it where it, as soon as it's out of harm's way, it reassimilates into the little baby dragon, and its feet pitter-patter across the deck over to Tarask's room, where it walks in and it sees Tarask there meditating on his bed, and his face is, rather than being pale, like deathly looking, he looks very much the opposite. Very pink, very alive, very like sweating and intense in meditation here in this room. And it will crawl up next to him and kind of circle like a dog does when it's finding its bed spot. And it just kind of slumps down next to Tarask. And then we see it just kind of disappear from sight altogether. We'll go back over to Korak, top of the round.
Okay. So currently, I've taken the one out,
Yes.
and the big one is still up, and it's still threatening Ishtar and Dane.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And I'm tied off.
I see Ishtar like fight it off. Says, "Don't worry, I'm fine."
So I'm gonna use the spear and slice my rope.
Okay.
Okay, and then about how far away are they?
15 feet, 20 feet, tops.
Oh, okay. So I will move. In order to charge, you would need a charge.
Charge exploit.
Exploit, yeah.
Yeah, basically all that does is let you move and attack with one action. But yeah.
Okay. I do not have that such thing, so I will move up to him.
All right, I would say since you just sliced your rope, you ditched it.
Okay.
That could have been your single free action that you got. It was a simple little. You could do it as you're, and you're running and you're moving and you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can attack.
Yeah.
And that is 21. I missed.
Okay, he's going to use his reaction, and as you come barreling at him with your spear, he holds his hand up and he grabs your spear and your hand, and he juxtaposes his leg back and he bashes you in the chest with his foot, sending you flying. As long as he hits. So hold on. He gets a 33.
33 will hit.
God.
Yes, and he sends you careening. It's not going to do too much damage because that's not the point. It'll be. Oh, I rolled 2 1s, so 2 damage. So you don't take any damage from it, but it does send you flying. And if you cannot stop yourself, you're going to go flying off the edge of the ship.
Okay. What do I need to roll?
I need you to roll an agility acrobatics.
Okay. I'll spend a luck die.
Good choice.
Smart idea. Rolls of one.
That's 11, 18, 20, 23.
Okay, just as you go sailing over the edge, you are able to plant your spear, so it slows down your flying a little bit. You go flying and you're like, your spear catches along the ship, leaving splintered wood behind it, and then you are able to, since it slowed you down a little bit, grab the side of the ship with your hand, and there you are hanging off the edge of the ship. With your spear kind of leaning up against the inside of the ship as you kind of catch yourself, and then you grab the side of the ship with both hands.
Okay.
And, yeah. Exactly. And then we go over to Dane. You see Korak just go careening off the edge of the ship. He goes flying off the ship. In fact, make a perception test to see if he was able to hang on or not.
I don't see Jack.
No, you're convinced that he just got sent off the side of the ship.
I rolled an 11.
Yeah,
I rolled an 11.
Korak's gone. He just went off the side of the ship. He's gone.
Okay. I'm still in flank, correct?
You are.
Okay. Flank plus feint plus luck die. I am determined to take this guy out. I'm not rolling my luck die yet. All right, let's see here. 1, I've got 2 6s. Come on, luck die, give me that last 6. Yes, got it. 3 6s. So 18, 22, 23, 27, 32, 33.
Very nicely done. That's a hit, and it's a critical hit.
And 34 with the exploding 6.
Yeah.
All right, so 3d6. Yeah, 3d6 plus 2 plus explosion. Plus 6s. There's 1. So 16, 20, 22 points of damage.
Fantastic.
1 plus heat damage.
Fantastic. Let me pull up his sheet again. right, 22. You said 22. Okay.
Yes, 22.
Great. So you just bash your fist into its back after you see Korak go off the edge of the ship. You see it, and it's like there's this moment where your fist lights up brighter than it's ever lit up before. Like a miniature sonic boom happens when you make contact with its back, and you feel bones crunch, and you see like part of the bones of its rib cage come poking out of its skin with the impact of it and everything. It doesn't go down, but you have rocked it, and you have to guess that it's not much longer for this world after a punch like that. And next up is the demon, who is going to full-on 360 whip around with his sword and try to just hit whatever the hell just hit him as hard as he can hit it. So he's going to make a sword attack, negative 2d6. He gets a 27 to hit that time.
Wow, yeah, he got me.
All right, so he's going to deal an extra d6 of damage and 26 points of damage. And that is partially... hold on, let me... Okay, so only his critical hits cause bleeding and burning. But you notice that his sword is glowing red hot.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Also, with critical hit, he's now dazed.
All right, let me check dazed. And think dazed just means one action per turn.
To determine what... Right. Unless I'm supposed to roll the d6 to determine what level he's at.
No, first he goes to the first bullet point, and then if he gets crit again, he goes to the second bullet point. So he can only take one action per round, and that was... so yeah, good thing you mentioned that, because yeah, he would have taken another strike down at you if you hadn't mentioned that. So good call. He swings around in a dazed confusion, his ribs sticking out, and he smashes his sword into you. Red hot blade. It doesn't crit, but it comes close, and it slashes you across your chest, and the blade was so hot it instantly cauterizes any wound that you would have there, but your robe is singed open there. You've got a massive gash across your chest now from that strike that he just hit you
my
with.
Armor too.
Ishtar, you're up.
All right, I'm gonna use the new power I got from Flame, the cacophonous sound.
Okay.
I haven't broken this out yet. I know the main thing is it uses magic points, but I know I kind of ignore that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's basically, since it's a thing that you can do, you can do it like once per day, pretty much.
So pretty much it's automatic damage then, I do.
Yeah, the roll is going to be your max dice pool.
For like a perform roll?
You could add performance to it, because that's essentially how you are going to invoke the power. So you can use max dice pool and then add performance on top of it.
Oh,
and it'll be a ranged attack.
Ranged. Okay. 27.
Very good. That is enough to hit. You can roll the damage for it and read the description to me again, if you have it ready.
It's a 20-foot cone in there, 5 feet back, and it shatters anything like glass-like or fragile damage. But
one of his ribs sticking out shatters in the sound of it.
I do 9 damage.
Okay. All right.
I kind of do. You start like strumming on his lute.
Yeah, you send him back.
Power cord.
And the power of the force of this power cord that you just hit him with You see his feet grind into the wood and splinter it up as he gets pushed back 5 feet from the blast. You said 9 damage? Sorry, you cut out when you answered.
9. It's only 2d6 damage.
Okay. All right, great. He looks like a stiff wind could blow him over at this point.
Still up.
At this point, when you finish doing that, Daniel runs up behind you and he says, "Calm down there, rocker boy," and he'll lay his hands on you and he'll spend both of his actions doing it, and he heals you for 12 points of health. You feel this energy wash over you, and when he does that, you see the demon in front of you. His eyes get really wide when he sees Daniel lay his hands on you, and as he's looking, Sir Remshel takes the moment to strike with his sword. And he gets a 27 to hit, which is a hit. It's his two-handed damage.
Awesome.
He hits for 19 points of damage. So as this thing's eyes are really wide at the vision of seeing Daniel do this, Sir Remshel just plants his sword in the wall behind him, and when he's finished with his swing, you see the thing just kind of fall in half, and it
Nice.
with its eyes still wide. When that happens, go back up to game time. There it is. We're over to Tarask. Tarask, you are cranking away at this crank like you've never cranked a crank before, and go ahead and make that resolve check. Strength plus willpower.
So I got a 29 to crank the wheel.
Oh,
so
wow. Nicely done. Nicely done. So you're able to keep cranking it, and it's getting very, very close. More spirits come and buffet you, reducing the max dice pool of your fortitude by 1 again.
Oh, so now wait. Okay, because I just rolled for 4. So am I losing 1 automatically? Should I know that before I roll?
Yes. Sorry. You're losing 1 automatically from being buffeted by these spirits that are attempting to fuel the soul storm.
Okay.
So
well,
you'll
I
roll 3
rolled
this time.
4. I rolled 4 ahead of time, but I
Okay.
got 2, 3, and 4. Is that okay if I just...
That's fine. Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you rolled more dice and didn't get any 6s, then that's fine.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Yeah, okay, so I stay at... So wait, but I still go to 3.
Yep, you still go to 3. It's at that point that you turn, because something catches your eye. It's the little girl, and she seems to be excited about something. The sound in the room is kind of as you attempt to shut this gate, and you hear her voice kind of reverberate in the back of the room. She says, "Oh, it's so pretty," and then you see running into the room the little blue dragon that you guys have been taking care of, and he just comes running in, and he looks up at you, and I need you to make another crank check on the crankaroo.
Okay, so this is my strength and will.
Mm-hmm.
23.
23. Not enough. As you crank down on this thing, he sees you struggle, and you're being buffeted. You lose another die on your endurance, on your fortitude, so now you're down to 2. Roll that again. Don't get 2 6s.
4 and a 2.
4 and a 2. Okay, so you're
4 and a 2.
being buffeted, and you're just struggling to hold on to consciousness in this realm, and the little dragon will hop on the crank and just kind of add its weight to it, and it was just enough to get it to go one more time, and there's still just a sliver left open, and it now too is being buffeted by these spirits, and you see it kind of taking this damage, and it puts its feet up against the wall as the crank comes around for another finishing crank, and it's going to try to help you. Go ahead and make your crank check again, this time adding 2d6 to the resolve for the dragon helping you.
Okay, so that's going to be 32.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice. You finally, you shut the thing. You're down to 1d6. Go ahead and roll that 1d6 for your fortitude.
6.
You collapse onto the floor, and as things go black, you hit the floor and the doors close, and you hear the thud of the little dragon body land next to you. And as you kind of, your eyes close, you can see it hit the floor, not breathing. The dragon appears to be either unconscious or struggling to live at this point. And it's at that point that the doors close. The monster outside on the ship was just cut in half. Korak, make a strength acrobatics check to pull yourself back up onto the ship.
Okay. Strength acrobatics?
Mhm.
Okay.
Or athletics,
So
whatever you have, which is more.
I have acrobatics, but agility wouldn't work for that. So okay. Okay. I don't know what happened. I got a blue screen of death. Okay, that is 10, 16, 21, 24.
Nicely done. You're able to hoist
Nice.
yourself back up onto the deck. That is your turn. You technically still have an action, but what happens next is this thing just got cut in half, and the soul storm hasn't stopped. It's still going, and this thing, it falls in half, but then it seems to coalesce itself back into this spectral form, and it still looks the same, but yeah, it looks like it's just reassimilated itself in a spirit form, and it dashes towards the rope and chain that is right next to you, that it's right next to, and it's going to take a swing at that to try to cut it from the ship. He's gonna,
Intercept it.
you can try. You can try make an agility, and Dane, you could try too, to make an agility test to get there in time to stop him from doing this.
Agility acrobatics.
Sure. Yep.
Did I already use my martial arts skill for this purpose?
No, this is just running,
Wow.
trying to get there in time.
That's the crappiest
Okay.
roll I've done tonight.
And I'm using my last luck die for this one.
All right.
I rolled 14 on 6 die.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I ain't going to catch him. I rolled a 9.
All right. Neither of you are able to get there in time as he strikes through this rope and Ishtar. I could give you a chance to react as well. It'd be an agility acrobatics.
I'm actually good at that.
At least somebody is around here.
19?
You're able to get there in time. What are you going to do?
Could I... What I have? I had my loot out. Well, combat had technically had stopped, right?
I guess kind of technically, but not really, because this thing, it
Okay,
didn't
I'll
take
say
very
loot.
long for it to.
Alright, so I'll say, can I pull out my crossbow and take a shot, or...
Yeah, go ahead.
Ones.
You're like, no! And,
Ones.
yes, it passes through it.
Our dice have sucked.
Actually, Tarasques have been great, except for that last one that was the most important. So, your bolt goes right through the thing, and then as soon as it makes contact, oh, we dropped
Yeah, it just happened.
Tarasque. We dropped Tarasque. I guess I'll keep describing it, but I'll do it slowly so that maybe he's able to hop back in. So your bolt goes careening towards this thing, and it just sails right through it. And it makes you think that even if you had rolled really well to hit it, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And so it goes to hit this support beam, I guess I'll call it, and just before it strikes, your eyes are all like taken aback, like you're all partially blinded by this bright blue light, and you feel the back end of the ship rock, and this thing it throws off this thing's blow, and it only catches the side of it, and it doesn't cut clean through. It cuts about halfway through before it's knocked off of its balance, and taken aback by the glow. And there's a moment where it seems like time completely stops. It's like it starts to sever, but then you see on the back end of the ship this bright light, ship rocks, and this as soon as your eyes adjust to the light and the light kind of tones down a little bit, you see this old man walking from the back end of the ship, and it seems like everything on the ship has stopped moving. Like time is frozen on the ship. You're still thinking normally. There he is. Okay, so what you missed was the spectral form of this thing is Ishtar got to it in time. He fires a crossbolt. It goes through the thing. Its sword just begins to clip this support that's going up to the balloon when all of a sudden the back of the ship rocks with what feels like weight, and it interrupts his blow because there's a bright blue light that comes from the back of the ship, and time seems to come to a standstill on the deck of the ship as it doesn't seem like mentally things are slowed down, but you just can't move very fast. And when everybody looks to see what's happening, the light kind of dims down a little bit, and you can see this old man just walking casually from the back of the ship. Actually, no, it would be from, well, let's change that. The front of the ship rocks, and it's too bright to see what happens, and then all that same stuff happens, and this old man comes walking down from the front of the ship, and he seems to walk through the entire battle as everything on the ship seems frozen in place. And when we take a look at him, he's got this very long gray beard, a walking staff that he seems to be relying heavily on, and his robe is absolutely magnificent. It's these shiny, what looks like a blue scale robe, and it trails behind him maybe 4 feet. And his cowl is up over his head, and he's just walking very slowly back to the back of the ship. And he will slowly make his way down into the ship. And everything on top of the ship remains in this kind of frozen state, where you're just kind of like looking around wondering what the hell's going on. As you guys are frozen there in that moment, and he disappears, we go down to Tarask in his room, where he has fully collapsed on his bed. In fact, if we were to have been there in the moment where he rolled that one, his eyes closed, and he goes back down into his body, we would have seen him dejected, like and it flattens him out, and there's like a mini crater where his body is laying right now. And then laying next to him on the floor is this lifeless body of this dragon. And this old man, he comes walking into this room, and he will, I have a dog scratching on the door. He reaches down to the dragon first, and he picks it up and he caresses it in his hands, and he blows on it just a little bit. And you can see this kind of almost invisible but not quite energy flow from his mouth into the body of this dragon as it springs back to life. And its wings grow a little bit more, and they're almost fully developed at this point. And he smiles at it, and then he sets it down. It seems very weak still. and then he places his hand on Tarask's forehead and closes his eyes. And Tarask, as you're kind of swimming about in this realm of nothingness, you feel a coldness but a calmness come over your senses, and when you open your eyes next, standing in front of you is this bearded man with his hand on your forehead. And when he removes it, all of that sensation that you were feeling throughout your body goes away completely. And you're left there just kind of staring, unable to move. And it's at that moment that he speaks to you, and he smiles, and he says, "Your time has not come yet. I see you've been taking care of my friend." And he gestures to the blue dragon. He says, "If he is to take my place one day, he can't be dying doing heroic feats like this." And he kind of laughs to himself a little bit. And he straightens himself up and he says, "Well, I have to go save the rest of your friends. Until the next time we meet." And he leaves the room, and you remain there kind of frozen in time as he walks again casually back on the deck of the ship. And he will go over to that demon that's in the middle of cutting the ship support. And he places his hand on its chest, and it just melts away into nothingness. Even the soulstorm has seemed to have slowed down, and he walks over to another one of the soul harvesters, the one that's still alive, and he touches it, and it just disintegrates into nothing. And then when all is well on the ship, things go back, time is back, and you're able to move again, and everybody kind of comes back, and he's still there, standing there amongst everybody. And that's where we'll end.